Here's a question I want you to sit with for a moment. Not, can I afford to retire? Not, do I have enough? Those are the questions everyone asks. Here's the one almost nobody asks. Am I already fully ready to retire? And am I just afraid to make the call? Here's why that question matters more than it sounds. The Employee Benefit Research Institute found that 46% of retirees left work earlier than they'd planned. Not because they wanted to. Health problems, layoffs, a spouse who needed care. They didn't get to choose the moment, it was chosen for them. Which means if you're 60 right now, telling yourself, not yet, just a few more years, I need to be sure, you may be waiting for a version of certainty a lot of people never actually get the chance to reach on their own terms. So today, 6 signs. Not feelings, not a gut check. 6 specific, testable things that tell you whether you're actually ready or whether there's a real gap still worth closing. For each one, I'll tell you exactly what a pass looks like. Let's start with the one almost everyone skips. Sign 1. Can you actually get to your money? Having money saved and being able to access it penalty-free are 2 different questions, and the difference trips people up constantly. The good news, if you're 60, you've already cleared the biggest hurdle. At 59.5, the 10% additional tax on most early withdrawals from IRAs and qualified retirement plans generally no longer applies. So, that barrier's gone. But penalty-free doesn't mean tax-free. Every dollar you pull from a traditional pre-tax account counts as ordinary income the year you take it. Pull too much in one year, and you can jump tax brackets, trigger higher Medicare premiums down the road, or shrink an ACA subsidy you're counting on before 65. The door is open. How much you walk through, and in what order, is its own decision. One more thing worth knowing. Roth IRA contributions, not the growth, the money you actually put in, can come out anytime, tax-free, penalty-free, at any age. That makes Roth dollars some of the most flexible money you own. The test. Can you map out, account by account, exactly where your money comes from for the first 5 years of retirement, without leaning on unusual exceptions or assuming the market cooperates? If you can answer that specifically, you pass. If the answer is vague, that vagueness is telling you something. Sign 2. Does your guaranteed income cover the essentials? This might be the most important sign on the list because it changes how retirement actually feels, not just how it looks on a spreadsheet. Split your expenses into 2 buckets. Essentials: housing, food, insurance, healthcare, minimum debt payments, things that happen no matter what the market does. Discretionary: everything else. The trips, the dining out, the upgrades. Now add up your guaranteed income: Social Security, any pension, any annuity. Does that cover the essentials bucket? Not the whole lifestyle, just the non-negotiables. When it does, something real shifts. Your portfolio stops being survival money and becomes discretionary money, and people treat those two very differently. Researcher Michael Finke found that retirees with strong guaranteed income spend roughly twice as much as retirees holding the same wealth entirely in investments. Not because they have more, but because they trust the income more. One catch if you're 60 specifically. Social Security can't start until 62 at the earliest. So for your first 2 years, that guaranteed piece isn't there yet, and something else has to bridge it. The test. Does Social Security plus any pension cover 80% or more of your essential monthly expenses? If yes, your portfolio isn't what stands between you and groceries in a bad market year. Sign 3. Is your spending about to drop for real reasons? Here's what most retirement calculators get wrong. They assume your current spending is your future spending. It usually isn't. The mortgage is the biggest lever. Paid off or close to it, and you remove $15,000 to $30,000 a year in cash going out. Gone. A household spending $80,000 today might genuinely need $55,000 once that payment disappears. Kids becoming financially independent is the second big one. If that cost is mostly behind you, that's a structural drop in what retirement actually needs to fund. Then there are the quiet costs nobody tracks. Commuting, work clothes, parking, lunches out, often 5 to 10% of income, gone the day the paycheck stops. And payroll taxes. 7.65% of every working dollar goes to FICA. Retirement withdrawals and Social Security aren't taxed that way. That disappears too. Here's why it matters more than it sounds. Under the standard 4% withdrawal framework, every $10,000 less you need per year lowers the portfolio required to support you by $250,000. Someone who genuinely needs $20,000 less a year than they spend today needs $500,000 less saved to live the same life. The test. Can you build a real post-retirement budget? Not a copy of today's spending, but what life actually costs once the mortgage, the commute, and the kid expenses are gone, and land on a number meaningfully lower than what you spend now, with actual reasons, not wishful thinking. Sign 4. Do you have a real healthcare bridge to 65? This is the one that derails early retirement more than anything else, and the one people underestimate the most. Medicare doesn't start until 65. Retire at 60, and that's a 5-year gap that needs a funded answer, not an assumption. If a working spouse has coverage you can join, confirm it, don't assume it. COBRA lets you keep your old employer plan for up to 18 months, but you pay the full premium yourself plus a fee, often $800 or more a month for one person, over $2,300 for a couple. That covers part of the gap, not all 5 years. For most early retirees, the ACA marketplace fills the rest. And here's what changed for 2026 that you need to know. The extra subsidies that made marketplace coverage cheaper since 2021 expired at the end of 2025. If your household income is above roughly $62,600 for one person, or $84,600 for two, you get no premium assistance at all. Not less, none. Without a subsidy, a 60-year-old is looking at roughly $970 a month for a bronze plan, over $1,300 for silver. For a couple, close to double that. Across 5 years, that's tens of thousands of dollars before you even see a doctor. Here's the part that actually helps. ACA subsidies are based on your household income under the ACA's MAGI rules, not your net worth. The way you withdraw money can affect that income. Taxable investment income and Roth conversions can raise it, while withdrawals of your own Roth contributions generally don't. The order you pull money from can be the difference between $400 a month and $1,300 a month for the same coverage. The test. Do you know, year by year, exactly how healthcare gets funded and what it costs between the day you retire and the day Medicare starts? Not a hope, a plan. Sign 5. Do you have a Social Security strategy or just a default? This is where I see the most money left on the table. Retiring and claiming Social Security are two separate decisions. You can stop working at 60 and not claim until 70, funding the gap from your portfolio while your benefit keeps growing. If you were born in 1960 or later, your full retirement age is 67. Claim at 62, the earliest option, and your benefit is permanently cut by 30%, not for a few years, for life. Wait past 67, and it grows 8% a year, up to age 70. Wait the full stretch to 70, and you're looking at roughly 24% more than at 67, and about 77% more than at 62. On a $2,500 monthly benefit at full retirement age, that's about $1,200 more per month for choosing 70 over 62, every month, for the rest of your life. And for married couples, the surviving spouse inherits the higher benefit, which makes this decision matter even more. The break-even point sits around age 80 to 83. Good reason to expect a long life, and the math favors waiting. Serious health concerns and claiming sooner can make sense. Here's the real signal, though. If signs 1 through 4 are solid, you shouldn't need to claim at 62 out of necessity. If claiming early is the only way your numbers work, that's not a strategy. That's the other pieces telling you they're not quite ready yet. The test. Have you actually pulled up your statement at ssa.gov, compared your benefit at 62, 67, and 70, and made a real decision, not a default? Sign 6. Do you know what you're retiring toward? This last one isn't financial. It won't show up on a spreadsheet. But the research on retirement satisfaction is consistent enough that it belongs on this list. Remember that 46% who retired earlier than planned? The window to leave work on your own terms, healthy and with energy, isn't guaranteed to stay open. The WHO estimates U.S. healthy life expectancy at birth at about 64 years. That figure isn't a prediction for someone already age 60, but it is a reminder that health and functional years shouldn't be treated as unlimited. And the people who struggle most in retirement usually aren't the ones who ran out of money. They're the ones who ran out of purpose, who retired away from a job, without ever deciding what they were retiring toward. The test. Can you describe specifically what your weeks actually look like once you stop working? Not vaguely, a real answer. Travel, family, a hobby that finally gets time, something part-time that keeps you engaged. It doesn't need to be elaborate, it needs to be real. Putting it together, these 6 aren't equal checkboxes. They build on each other. Signs 1 and 4, access to your money and the healthcare bridge, are hard constraints. Fail either one, and retiring at 60 isn't operationally possible yet, no matter how large the portfolio looks. Signs 2 and 3 tell you whether the plan actually holds for 20 or 30 years, not just the first 2. Sign 5 tells you whether the plan is optimized or quietly leaning on a permanently reduced benefit because the other pieces weren't strong enough to bridge the gap without it. And sign 6 is the tiebreaker. When the first 5 hold up, that's the one that tells you whether now is actually the moment. If you walked through this and found a gap or two, a healthcare plan that's still fuzzy, a social security number you've never actually looked up, that's not bad news. That's a to-do list. Every one of those gaps has a specific, solvable answer, and knowing exactly where it is beats a vague feeling that something's off without knowing what. The people who get this right don't wait for a magic number to appear in an account. They retire when these 6 pieces actually fit together, with enough room that the plan survives a rough year without falling apart. If you found this video helpful, consider subscribing. And if one of these 6 signs hit close to home, let me know which one in the comments. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.